that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it. But on top of that, adding on top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears. He takes an oath. And you take an oath even in everyday conversations. We take oaths when we want to emphasize our statements. We want to put weight in our statements. We want to make sure the other person recognizes how important the matter is, the gravity of the situation. We need to make sure that it penetrates the mind of the other person. That's why we take oaths. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by time. He calls time to witness. When there's a qasam, in Arabic word, we mean we're calling the thing to witness. That look, this time is bearing witness. This time through the ages has seen the rise and falls of nations. It bears witness to this reality that we're going to talk about. Time saw the rise of the Pharaoh and the downfall and how he got drowned. Time saw all those nations rise, their arrogance against the messenger, and what they became, and what became of the messengers. Time bears witness to all of that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings time to witness and tells us, realize, think about this reality. Another point of emphasis is inna. When this ayat begins with inna, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna means without a doubt. When a person realizes that the person I'm talking to, there may be a doubt in his mind about what I'm talking about. He says inna, without a doubt. That there is absolutely no doubt about what I'm about to say. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts the statement by saying inna, there is absolutely no doubt. Al-insan lafi khusr. Again, la, things marked in red are the points of emphasis. Lafi khusr. La is used again to swear on top of it all, to further accentuate the meaning of emphasis. Emphasize even further. So, and there's other things in this ayah which point towards how much emphasis is being laid. And really, it's all the points in Arabic language that could have been used to emphasize this point have been used. Not getting into the other ones, they can get a little technical. But this is suffice with these three. I know that there could not have been any other way of emphasizing this statement even more. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that without any shadow of a doubt, mankind is in a state of loss. Right. So that's the emphasis with which the statement is made. Now the second point that we understand by, again, looking at that one statement that can potentially change our lives if we let it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us an idea of failure. That these people are in loss. That the entire mankind rather is in loss. They are losers. So that is giving us a standard of success and failure in the Qur'an. And if we just reflect on the worldly standard of success, who do we say is not a failure? Somebody who has wealth, somebody who's really rich, right? We look up to those people. We gawk at the amazing cars that pass by. We see the RX-8s and the Ferraris and the Mercedes and the Benzes, and we have names memorized and the technical details of how the new model is different from the old model, and we really revere those people and we want to be like them. We envy the people with those cars. And we look at amazing mansions and huge houses and we're like, this guy made it big. This guy is successful. No matter how religious we may be, we will turn around and give a look to a huge piece of architecture that really impresses us. We will definitely do that. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a different picture. That the worldly standards that you have of wealth, of status, of fame, that you think that if somebody is famous, if somebody is popular in the particular circle that he's in, that's success. If somebody has power, if somebody has people all around him, that is success. We think that's our worldly standard. So these are the standards that have been constantly thrown at us ever since we were born. Really, just look at it. Why do we send our children to good schools? So they get into a good high school. Why do they go to a good high school? So they can get into a good college. Why do they want to get into a good college? So they can get a good degree, so they can get a good job. Why do they want a good job? So they can make good money. All it boils down to, all the education, it boils down to is what? Good money. Because if you want to tell someone that I want to study further for another 10 years, are you crazy? Really? You graduate from medical school, I want to study more, I want to do a PhD. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Go make money now. But you said knowledge was good. No, enough knowledge. Now is the time to be successful. To make use of all the investment that we put in you. Bring it out. Right? Bring in the cash. Because that's the standard of success. If we see someone who was a carpenter, who began as his life as a carpenter, and now he's an owner of industries, oh wow, this guy's successful. This man made it big. That's our impression. Right? And in the Qur'an, if we look at the examples of people with kingdom, the idea, the first person to come to mind is the Pharaoh. The power of the kingdom that the Pharaoh had, the armies at his disposal, the wealth at his disposal, and what did he end up as? Is he depicted as a symbol of success in the Qur'an or a symbol of failure? Qarun, the amount of wealth that he had, they say that his wealth was so much that the safe in which it was kept, the keys for that safe, he had to have slaves to carry those keys. That's how rich he was. And finally, you see nowadays, there's people talking about how much money Bill Gates has, and you convert all his money to dollar bills and it can make to the moon in 3 ways back, something like that, something along those lines. Just all these crazy ideas about how rich that person is, how rich that person is, and look at the celebrity cribs and whatnot. How we look up at these things. SubhanAllah. Right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the Quranic definition. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. If a person does not have 2 square meals a day, if he does not have adequate amount of clothes to cover his awrah, if he doesn't have a roof on top of his head, if nobody knows him, but if he has these 4 things, that person is not good. That person is successful. And that's such a sharp contrast from what we think. Even Muslims, born Muslims, all our lives we've been raised claiming to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worthy of worship other than Allah. The messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Qur'an was from Allah. Yet our standard of success and failure is a worldly standard of success and failure. And the Quranic standard of success and failure is shocking to us. It's a foreign concept. Right? So it's one thing to know this reality. To know, we need to have faith, we need to act righteously, we need to do this tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr, but there's a completely different story to live in. Because the world that we are living in, and really the reality is depicted in the Qur'an, in the surah as well, where the majority is in laws, and the exception obviously meaning they are in a minority. These people are what? They are strangers. These people are strangers. Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Islam began as something strange. بَدَعَ الْإِسْلَامُ غَرِيبًا وَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَأَ غَرِيبًا. And it will return to be something strange. Today people, if they put these things on top of their priority lists and start living their lives like that, they are regarded as strangers in Muslim societies. They are weird people. No one wants to associate with those people unless they want to have them make profit. That's it. For example, right? So that's their strange people. They don't have the girls all over them, or they're not showing off their cars or whatever, this, that, and the other, which are the university school standards of success. Right? Whoever has more people talking after him, or whoever female or male, subhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, this is what it is. Standard of success is Iman, Amal Salih, Tawasi bil Haqq, Tawasi bil Sabr. And subhanAllah, if you are in a society where the worldly standard is being again and again being thrust at you from all directions, you go to the billboards, that's what they're saying. They're telling you what car you need to buy. They're telling you what kind of house you should be living in. You're being emailed about the kind of career you need to have. You're being constantly, your friends, your family, everyone is telling you what is success. And they want you to achieve that level of success. We need to remind each other of these realities. The Sahaba were living in a time where these worldly standards were not that pronounced and weren't hurled at individuals as frequently as they are today. The amount, subhanAllah, of this worldly standard that we're taking just right from pretty to Islam. And still, yes, we've been living in those times, living in the best generation ever. Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khairul quruni qarni," the best generation is my generation. The Sahaba are the best of people. Yet they felt the need to remind themselves such that every time they met, they wouldn't separate except that they recited this surah to each other. Because when you're flowing, like in this time, this is the reality that we need to implement in our lives as well. Really. Believe with anything, inshallah, two people from this gathering, whenever you meet, we remind each other of this surah, that we need it much more than the Sahaba. Because if we choose to follow these four criteria, if we choose to follow them, then we will be the stranger. We will be flowing against the tide. We'll be swimming against the tide. The entire world will be swimming in one direction, and we're going in a completely other direction. And they will call us abnormal. So again, more and more reason for us to remind each other of this surah. But you know what? The vast majority of us will not do that. We'll feel shy and ashamed to be reminding each other. To even say at the end of a conversation, why don't you recite Surah Al Asr? The other person will be like, what? Okay. Anyway, moving on. So the third thing that we recognize from this surah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not saying قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. That greatly successful are the people who believe and did righteous deeds, and there's no one. He's not saying that. He's saying in an insan that man is in a state of loss except these people. This is the bare minimum criteria for success. This is not the criteria with which you get the highest places in Jannah. This is the criteria, but these are just the passing marks. These are just the passing marks. Like in Shifa we have 60%, this is just 60%. Or they say 60% and it's actually 50%. So like it's barely 50%. It's barely 50%. That's all it is. It's no more than that. It's not a top grade. These four things are the minimum requirements. Absolute minimum requirements. And if we think that we're getting anywhere without any one of these, then we're living in fool's paradise. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not lie. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not lie. Again, our wishful beliefs and wishful thinking will not get us through. The reality, the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated, that will get us through if we follow. So again, these are the bare minimum requirements. The fourth point, we need each and every one of these desperately. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Aminu wa amilu salihat, wa tawasaw. He doesn't say or, he doesn't say this or that. He says faith and righteous action, and tawassil, which means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus all of them, each and every one of them is required. You can't leave anything out. No one has the right to say, you don't need to do that. Tawasi bil haq, tawasi bil sabr, that's only for the scholars. You don't have to do that. You worry about your own life. You can't say that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say the scholars are in a state of loss and they need to do this. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the entire mankind is in a state of loss and they need to do it. All four of us. That was included. Tawasi bil haq included. Tawasi bil sabr included. Every single one. These are, for example, if you get hired at a company, I'll give this example. If you're hired and your boss tells you on your first day, you got to do 4 jobs. You have 4 responsibilities. You have to do each and every one of them. You're like, okay, weeks pass by, you don't like 2 of the jobs that he gave you, they're too hard. You're like, you know what I'll do? I'll perfect the first and the second one, I'll just forget about the third one. A month later, the boss comes back and says, I gave you 4 jobs, what did you do with it? You're like, I did the first and second one really well. You're like, get out. Get out. I explicitly told you all 4, each and every one of them is required from you. Then why did you, who gave you the right? Who made you boss? Who made you boss? That you decide, I only need to do 2 of these. I'll just do 2 of these and that too at my inconvenience. So who made us God to decide that we can only do 1 or 2 of them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is His right to choose for His slaves whatever He wants to. Will you tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about your deen? We confuse iqrar bil lisan, just saying it with the tongue, mere lip service, with real iman. Real iman is in the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that real iman is in the heart. First of all, we assume that iman alone is enough. And then we assume what we have the right to call it iman. We assume that we have that iman. We think iman is enough, and then we say what we have, that's iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Surah Al-Fajrat that these Bedouins, these new converts, when Islam became successful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted victory, then a lot of people became Muslim because it was a trend now. Let's just jump the bandwagon Bedouins, they say they have believed. Tell them you have not believed. You have not believed.